Oh boy, I do not know how long this video is going to be, but I have quite a lot to talk about. Not about this show itself, but what's going on around the show. There's this saying well, I came to myself where sometimes the haters are more annoying than the lovers. This applies to a lot of things I've seen throughout my life, since middle school and all the way up to now. It all started first with Twilight. It was this thing I didn't care for it. I did like the fight scenes in it, but I didn't really care much for the rest of it. It was kind of but I knew it wasn't for me. It was made for those girls who romanticize about this stuff. But what annoyed me was everyone else around it. I could not run away from it, not because of the fans, but because of the haters. People in comedy skits, stand-ups, and TV shows and cartoons just will not shut up about the show of how much they hate it, kept making fun of it. And I was more annoyed with them than I was with the fans. The fans kept to themselves. They loved their stuff, and they went on their happy little way. Then it was Justin Bieber. I would hear songs much, and I didn't hate them. I just didn't care about him. I wasn't his target demographic. Once again, those girls. So therefore, I didn't care for it. But everyone else wouldn't shut up about him, who were making fun of him or hating on him. So therefore, I couldn't stand it. Especially during the time the anime community was being at its most toxic. During a time when they thought that anime and cartoons can't be the same. During that time. And I was annoyed because I was trying to ignore the Justin Bieber thing, but they wouldn't shut up about it. Then times move on to an anime, Sword Art Online. Sword Art Online to me in the beginning was a disappointment because Kirito was just a terrible character, and he still is. But all the other characters around him are pretty well written, so therefore I do enjoy the show of that. But then it was people who would not shut up about the show itself to the point what got on my nerves. And even went into video games, stuff such as Fallout 76. When I first tried the beta for Fallout 76 and did it on my PS4, I was genuinely disappointed and just didn't want to deal with it. I'm like, you know what, I'll stick the 3, 4 in New Vegas and just do my mods. And that's what I did. But then I'm going to stop hearing people not talking about it. It was annoying. Now I'm playing it now after the Steam Summer Sale, and it's not bad. It really isn't. For a Bethesda game, it's not bad. I am enjoying it. It's best to wait for these open world Bethesda games before you buy them on day one. Learn your lesson, people. Well, anyways, I'm here to talk about a show called My Adventures of Superman, made by the studios that probably did Voltron, and it has that millennial influence onto it, which a lot of people can't stand, because most shows with millennial characters in it are really hated, because I guess people can't stand millennials. Of all the generations that we have, millennials are the most hated for some reason. It's just freaking weird, but whatever. I can understand though. So I'm watching the show. Before I watch the show, the people that I follow on Twitter and even YouTube would not shut up about the show, about how much they hate it or how much bad. They're nitpicking over every little thing. And usually, I don't like these shows either from this kind of studio, because the writing and the characters are always the same and they're annoying, and they do change characters from their original, perspective, where they came from. So I understand that. But this show is being nitpicked at every little thing, like why is Clark looking like doing a flash move, which it was just a style that they're doing. This studio loved doing a lot of anime influence kind of stuff, kind of like the people that did Avatar in a way. They loved that anime influence, but with some American style added on to it, which I enjoyed. But so I decided to watch the show myself. But you know what? Because mainly people kept making fun of Lois herself, and one was thinking, "Why Lois look like a man?" I was like, I for one welcome tomboy Lois. Let's talk about Lois, because she's probably is the main character in this show. She is a tomboy in this show. People kept saying, "Oh no, they're gonna make her the man," but no. This is why I can't stand when things get too political all the damn time. It's getting annoying. Is whether it's this side or that side, they're both annoying. One will look at they're just tomboy. You remember tomboys, where there's a girl who realize they're a girl, but they still like to do guy things, but they still like guys. You know what I'm saying? One side will say, "Oh, they must be gay, so therefore, anyone that's a tomboy, we have to make them gay, even if they weren't gay before." In a new modernization of these new characters. Then you have this side, where they see a tomboy, and they'll say, "Oh, they must want to be a man," so therefore it's a stereotype of a female character who is looking like a man, and they do everything. They cannot do anything wrong. They are Mary Sue's, and they have all the power, and they always put down the actual main character, which is usually a guy. And I can see why they do that, because they've been having so much stuff like Star Wars and He-Man and even Indiana Jones. It's been happening a lot lately where a former, an old, iconic male character is being put down by this new female character, so therefore they have to make themselves look perfect all the damn time. I've seen it, so I understand that, but this is not the case here. Lois makes mistakes, a lot of mistakes, and she feels bad about it all the time. She slips up. She isn't a Mary Sue, but it doesn't mean she's incompetent either. Lois Lane was never incompetent. She was really smart, and she had always had spunk. And when it comes to this new modern audience thing, I can see why people stray when they hear the word modern audience, because most of the times it panders to people mostly on the west side of America. I understand that. I too like to stray from that stuff, but it isn't always a bad thing. Just don't think one-mindedly. It's foolish to think that way. This was mainly for, it's just made for a new audience. Despite how much you love these franchises, you have to understand that they need to pull in new people, pull in new viewers. And every time, these iterations of these characters are always changing for a next generation. They always have and they always will. Even when you and I are dead. That's just how it is. And I'm going to admit, don't act like that this is the first time that these iterations sucked. In the past, these iterations sucked. Some of the iterations sucked even during the 80s and stuff. Most of them were canceled during the 80s. So yeah, even in the 90s, there were bad times in the iteration of these characters through comic books and TV shows. So don't act like this is the first time, and they've never been bad before then. That's just plain ignorant. But anyways, I'm watching the show, and I'm like, it has its flaws. It really does. And there's mainly two flaws I have. I like Clark. Clark is still the good guy, the hometown boy who helps people out, who can be act nervous. He's just discovering himself. So of course he's going to be a clumsy Clark. Hell, there's the beginning of Superman that came out when he was teaming up with Lobo and Mr. Martian and stuff. There was that one, and that was pretty good. And he was getting his ass beat every now and then because he was a new kind of Superman. And this is also a new kind of Superman, a one who's not used or adjusted or accepted who he is yet. So therefore, he still is going to be kind of weak, a kind of trippy. Hell, they even did this in Smallville, and Smallville was declared one of the last times the CW ever did anything well DC. But then again, that was actually brought to the WB and not CW. But with that being said, I have no problems with Lois Lane or Clark. The bad guys, however, I can see why you hate the bad guys. For this new modern thing, they try to make everyone look young and handsome all the damn time, which can get on my nerves. But they're trying to bring in those viewers. You know, they want to bring in those viewers from our shows, and I hate it. I really do. I couldn't tell that was Deathstroke. I fucking couldn't tell because he acted nothing like Deathstroke at all and stuff. So I did hate that. I hate the villains so far in the show because they don't act like or look like what they're supposed to. Even for new iterations, you can at least tell that character was, even with a new iteration, it kind of sucks. It looks like it's being aiming at those high school teens. And that's probably it why they're doing with the show. The show's really focused on the romance and also the action. So there's that. One that I really can't stand, and this might shock you or probably not, is Jimmy. Jimmy. I have mixed feelings about Jimmy, but I can't stand it. And here's the reason why. This goes long before I was even born, my parents were born, and hell, even my grandparents were born. This goes all the way back during a time when slavery was still happening. Listen very carefully. Have you heard the movie Roots? Roots, you know, telling the patches of a family bloodline from where they came from, where they are now. Well, there's a new modern version that I watched with my aunt sometime back during 2015-16. And my favorite characters was the Chicken guy, Chicken James, Chicken George, with one of those two names. It's been a while since I watched it. He was my favorite character. And his father was white, a slave owner. I think he was Irish or Scottish. He was one of those two. But even though his father did bad things to his mother, he had this usual bond when it comes to gambling with his father. So, that being said, the father wanted to be a part of the inner circle, the elites of America, the rich people. Not just rich, but elite, because his father himself was rich as well, but he was never accepted no matter what he did. Pay attention. He, one day at a eating, was telling them, ranting like, why won't you accept me? Why won't you let me in? And one of the elites, which he later on had a duel with, said, because he can't stand your kind. He can't stand your kind more than the black person because you look so much like us. Pay attention. He looks so much like us. Because they look so much like us, people can't tell the difference. So therefore, they can't stand that. Well, at least with black people, they can stand the difference between them and the white elites. That is why they can't stand the Irish and the Scottish. One of the reasons, anyways, with the white elites. Now, these white elites of years, people thought, oh, things changed. No, some of their family are still in power in these organizations, these companies, and even in politics to this day. You haven't noticed in our modern time so many race swaps that have been going on with black people is mainly changed through redheads. You haven't noticed that? So many redheads have been replaced by black people. Of course, the single minded people will see this as, oh, this is progression, diversity as strong as. No. This is literally telling us in our faces that we're getting table scraps. Instead of giving us our own thing, we're only allowed to have leftovers, hand me downs. And it's by handing downs by people they hate more than us. That's what it is. This is not a compliment. This is literally a slap in the face being disguised as a gift, but it's not. And I'm just tired of everyone falling for this. This character with the black people replacing redheads is a giant symbol that's been going on since way back then. But no one has caught on to that. No one really does their history anymore. They just hear what they hear in school or what they hear face value now these days, unfortunately. But that's how it is. Another thing I mentioned about a character is that for some reason lately, even since I was a kid, a lot of black representation when it comes in cartoons always goes off of two things. One is the black kid character who's dealing with racial profiling. Or two is the black kid character who's extremely smart but and very nerdy and always gets picked on. From any shows I like, from Billy and Mandy, Ned Declassified School Survival Guide, or even Danny Phantom. Every time you always see this nerdy, annoying black kid. Hell, even from Very Odd Parents, AJ, and stuff, these characters were always like that. The same caricature. There's only two characters black guys were allowed to have. And it was kind of annoying, even now it's kind of annoying. But they do this because they're trying to make black people seen out in a different light, in a way. Even now they have them in this annoying hairstyle, the glasses, that kind of Western California stuff. It's always California, I swear to God, influence. And I'm getting kind of tired of it. But they do this to give us a better light on black people. Let's face it, if someone who's not black will go inside an all black area, they're going to be scared out their mind most of the times because how things are over there. I'm not going to lie. I came from there and I don't really like it over there. I don't. And of course, what's been going on, a lot of videos been showing us doing terrible crimes and stuff like that, and seem to be getting off of it most of the times, unless you're innocent. But anyways, that's a subject for another day. The fact is that there is this thing of race swapping that's going on that I can't not stand. Even with Little Mermaid, people think, oh, that's a surprise, that's just people being racist. But no, it's showing how they're not willing to give us or invest into black people. And even when they do, they don't heavily promote it. Did you know Disney Plus released a black influenced TV show recently with 10 episodes, but no one heard about it? They just drop it on there and didn't say a damn thing about it. They didn't bother promoting it. I wonder why. But when it becomes to a strong IP and they replace it with black people, all of a sudden they want to promote the crap out of that. I wonder freaking why. If you don't get it by now, here you go. The fact is, I am getting off subject, but there's, like I said, there's stuff around the show I want to talk about in the show itself. I don't really have a problem with the show itself, but it's the stuff that's going on around the show that really gets on my nerves. You know, there are things that they change from characters for each iteration of a character that I don't like, mainly the bad guys. You know, but Slade, I like Slade thanks to Teen Titans and stuff. And then I start following more of Slade's story and like, holy crap, this dude's awesome. And now look what I did to him. Look what I did to him. My God. And now they're doing with this Jimmy character is just another way where they place another redhead with another black person, once again slapping the face of black people, more like spitting in our hands and saying, "Here's your water." And that's pretty much what it is. But unfortunately, a lot of us have not caught on to that yet, at all, and stuff. So there's that. You know. Anyways, I don't hate the show so far. What I've seen, I'm in 2 episodes in already. I'm up to date. I don't hate it. I really don't. But I guess other people are always going to nitpick. Sometimes a show don't even have to be bad. It can just be made by certain people with different ideals from you, and you'll just automatically hate it just because of that. Which that should not be the case. Judge, you should be judging people off their merits. You know what they create. I guess people just don't like what they create no matter what. But either way, it's just getting tiring. I'm just wondering when are we going to get out of this phase of this generational influence once and for all and move on to something new, for God's sake. I'm getting sick of it. It's annoying, okay? This is literally a new decade. We need to move on from this crap already and do a new kind of thing. Something. Anything. As long as it's fucking different. I'm dead tired of it. So anyways, that's what I got for this video. Like I said, it's only 2 episodes, but I feel like I had a lot to talk about what's going on around this show. And some of it's ridiculous, and some of it is kind of justified. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, and of course, hit that bell icon. This has been Madcrownxox, all anime. Signing out.